Somewhere right now, there are billions of dollars sitting completely untouched. Not in a bank vault, not locked in a safe, not tied up in court. They're on the blockchain, visible to anyone who knows where to look, and they will never, ever move again. Because the only person who could move them is gone, and they took the password to the grave. This isn't a glitch. It isn't a hack. It's inheritance, and right now, the crypto world has absolutely no idea how to handle it. Let's talk about numbers for a second, because these aren't small. As of early 2025, analysts estimate that somewhere between 2.3 and 3.7 million Bitcoin are permanently lost. That's according to Chainalysis, one of the most respected blockchain analytics firms on the planet. At Bitcoin's current price above $100,000, we're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars just frozen, unreachable, gone from the active supply forever. Some of it belonged to early miners who threw away hard drives without thinking twice, back when Bitcoin was worth less than $1. You've probably heard the story of James Howells, the IT engineer from Wales who accidentally tossed a hard drive containing 8,000 Bitcoin. He's been trying to excavate a Welsh landfill for years. Still hasn't found it. Some of it belongs to people like Stephen Thomas, a man who forgot the password to a small hard drive containing the private keys to his fortune. He has 2 login attempts left before the device permanently locks itself. He cannot bring himself to use them. And some of it, nobody knows exactly how much, belonged to people who simply died. Regular people, investors, early adopters, people who told no one how to access their wallets, because sharing a private key felt like handing a stranger your house keys. Dead wallets are silent. They don't send error messages. They don't expire. They don't trigger any kind of alert. They just sit there, fully visible on-chain, broadcasting a balance that no living person can ever touch. So what makes 2026 different from every year that came before it? Bitcoin is 17 years old. The people who were serious about crypto in the early days, who bought when it was $5, who mined their first coins on a laptop in a college dorm, those people are now in their 50s and 60s. They're hitting the age where estate planning becomes impossible to ignore, and most of them have no plan whatsoever. A report released by Gannett Trust in 2026 describes this year as the moment when early adopters have started to button up succession planning. Not because the technology got easier, because the clock started ticking. And it's not just a personal problem anymore. The federal estate tax exemption in the US is shifting significantly in 2026, meaning that for the first time, a lot of crypto-heavy estates are going to be pushed into taxable territory. The IRS already classifies crypto as property. So when you die holding Bitcoin, that Bitcoin is part of your taxable estate whether your family can access it or not. You can owe taxes on assets your heirs can never actually claim. The legal system and the blockchain are running on completely different rules, and most people are stuck in the middle. To understand why this problem is so hard to solve, you need to understand one thing. On the blockchain, identity doesn't exist. Ownership does. When you hold crypto in a non-custodial wallet, ownership is proven by exactly one thing: a private key. It's a string of letters and numbers, usually represented as a 12 or 24-word seed phrase. If you control that string, you control the funds. Period. There is no bank to call, no customer service line, no identity verification process, no death certificate that unlocks anything. A court can legally transfer ownership of your crypto to your estate. The blockchain does not care about court orders. It only responds to the key. This is the core tension. The legal world runs on identity and authority. The blockchain runs on cryptography and math. They don't speak the same language. With traditional assets, a house, a bank account, a stock portfolio, the institution holding that asset has a recovery process. Your family goes through probate, provides documentation, and eventually gets access. The system is slow and expensive, but it works. With a non-custodial crypto wallet, there is no institution. There is no recovery process. There is no eventually. If the key is gone, the money is gone. And it's gone in a way that has never existed before in the history of wealth. One research team documented a typical inheritance failure. Days after the owner passes, the assets are still generating staking rewards, fully active, but completely out of reach. Within weeks, two-factor authentication changes and email recovery processes add more barriers. Within months, the assets become what they call digitally orphaned, visible on the blockchain, functionally dead. Now, to be fair, the industry isn't sitting still. Multi-party computation wallets are becoming more common. These distribute the private key across multiple parties, so no single person holds complete access. If someone dies, the surviving key holders can still execute transactions. It removes the single point of failure. Smart contracts are being designed with what's called a dead man's switch. If a wallet shows no activity for a defined period, say 60 days, an automated process kicks in that requires multiple signatures from designated heirs before assets can be moved. Regulated custodians, think of them like crypto banks, are now building inheritance protocols into their services. Your family can go through a legal process to claim the assets. The trade-off is that you're trusting a company, not just math. Legally, 47 U.S. states have now adopted some version of the Uniform Fiduciary Access to Digital Assets Act. This gives executors the legal standing to act on digital assets. But the law still can't force the blockchain to respond. In Europe, the MiCA regulation included preliminary digital inheritance guidelines as part of its 2026 rollout. It's a start, but enforcement mechanisms are still absent, and cross-border inheritance of crypto remains a legal gray zone. The honest reality is that the solutions exist. Most people just haven't used them yet. So what does a reasonable person actually do with all of this? First, create a digital asset inventory. Write down every wallet you have, every exchange account, every platform. Don't put the private keys in the will itself. Wills become public record in probate. Store the actual key access separately in a fireproof safe or a designated hardware wallet and reference the location in the will. Second, look into multi-signature wallets. Set them up now, while you're alive and able to walk your trusted person through how to use it. A key that your heir has never touched is almost as useless as a key that doesn't exist. Third, tell someone, not the keys themselves, just that the assets exist. The number one reason crypto disappears after someone dies is that the family had no idea there was anything to look for. One family spent $92,000 in legal and technical recovery fees before reclaiming just 55% of what their relative left behind, simply because they didn't know where to start. Fourth, revisit this at least once a year. Every major change to your holdings is a reason to update your access documentation. And fifth, if your holdings are significant, work with an estate attorney who actually understands crypto. This is not a space for generic legal advice. The intersection of decentralized technology and inheritance law is one of the most technically specific areas in modern estate planning. The blockchain doesn't mourn. It doesn't check obituaries. It doesn't forward your assets to your kids because it knows you would have wanted that. It just keeps running, ticking forward block after block, holding billions of dollars in a mathematical cage that has no key slot for grief and no door for a death certificate. The quiet crisis of digital inheritance is already here. It's not a future problem. It's happening right now in the wallets of people who died last week, last month, last year. The only question is whether you're going to be part of that statistic, or the person who made sure their wealth actually survived them. Think about it. And if this video made you realize you need to make a plan, start today.